Journalist Rageh Omaar became a household name for millions of viewers worldwide, reporting from Baghdad for the BBC throughout the dying days of Saddam Hussein's regime. Omaar, who now works for Al Jazeera, was in Greece throughout last week, looking into the Greek financial crisis. During his stay, Omaar met with a number of top-end politicians and analysts. He also spoke to pensioners, the unemployed, and many others affected by the austerity measures. Right after the latest civil servants rally in central Athens, I caught up with him and asked him for his assessment of the Greek situation.
When I was sent on the assignment here to Greece, it was only a few days after the May 5th events. And it was, I remember very clearly, I think it was the day before the British general election, and a lot of British commentators were saying that how big a decision this was for Britain, because look at what's happening in Greece, you know, Athens is burning. There was a lot of coverage. I mean, even though it was a very important general election, you know, the story of what was happening in Greece was very much neck and neck, if you like, with the election story. And yet, when I arrived, the reality was very, very different. The first thing I really noticed was getting on the plane. I mean, the plane from London was full. My colleagues who were flying from Doha in the Middle East, their plane was full. And you always have a sense, an atmosphere whenever, you know, I've arrived on stories from, you know, Africa, Middle East, South Asia, you know, Pakistan, Afghanistan. As soon as you get out, you have a sense of the atmosphere in a city or a country, of the level of sort of tension, of the level of concern. Just as an immediate human reaction, and I didn't have that sense of danger, of threat. What is clear as I began my research and interviews was that this was very, very serious. I mean, all ages, all economic backgrounds, all social backgrounds. There wasn't anyone who thought that somehow the crisis here was exaggerated. I think everyone told me that this time it's very different. There's been demonstrations, general strikes, plenty of them in Greece, but that this crisis really is very serious.
So you found a country in crisis?
I don't think I found a country in crisis in the sense that how a lot of the international audiences of Al Jazeera would understand that, say, you know, a crisis like in Darfur or something like that. I found a country feeling that it was at a real crossroads of a long-term crisis. I think questioning, you know, its political system, questioning its economic judgment of past governments and the present government.
And what about the people? I mean, you spoke to a lot of people, very different kinds of people. Did you get an overall feeling for how they're responding and how they feel about the future?
I think worried about the future and confusion about the present. The one constant, I think, that everyone that I spoke to expressed was a real, deep, bitter anger towards politicians. And the thing that surprised me, actually, speaking to a lot of Greeks, was an acknowledgement that, look, we're partly to blame. You know, we elected these politicians that we're blaming for all of this. I think that's the other thing that's different about Greece compared to how the financial crises have been played out in, say, Britain or the United States or in Ireland or in Iceland, is that there the blame has been almost universally on the bankers, the hedge fund managers, the financiers. Here, it's almost